The better part of last week and even these weeks, still investigations going on cases of femicide that we continue to record on a daily basis in this country. But now, even as we have that discussion, what is the way forward? How do we make sure that we stop these cases? In studio with me is Hamida Ahmed, a psychologist, as we have this discussion. Karibu sana. And let's just start from the cases that we continue to hear in this country of femicide. It is not the first incident. How do we make sure that we stop a repetition of the same?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dennis. I mean, it is very sad to continuously watch what is going on, especially with our girls and the women. Femicide, of course, you know, is the murder of women just based on their gender, just simply because they are women. Yeah, and this is happening in many situations. Of course, right now, we're talking about the Airbnbs and the girls, you know, finding themselves in situations with strangers who have different intentions as opposed to what it is that they had agreed on at the beginning. Because I don't think any of those girls or any of those ladies went to the Airbnb knowing what was going to happen, how their end was going to be. You can imagine their stories are all over the media. But when they started, it was just a conversation maybe between the two people. So you've asked the question of what can we do? First of all, as women and as girls, you know, you need to be able to, yes, sometimes you have your own private stuff and you do not want to share, which is okay. There's need for privacy, that's fine. But then there's the issue of your own safety. So even if you don't want to tell everybody your business, at least look for one person that knows exactly what is going on. Keep them updated as you're moving towards this other person, because that a stranger is a stranger is a stranger. You don't know this person. You've not even had a relationship with this person. You can't even, maybe you don't even know their official names, yeah, to start with. So as you're going towards such dates, being able to let somebody know, share your location, let them know exactly where you are. But even before we reach that point, really, who are you communicating with?
And Amida, on that, therefore brings the subject of the question that I have met someone online. We are having a conversation.
Yes.
It is intimate conversation
Yes.
on the socials. Yeah.
Yes.
And before we even get to a point where it is just the two of us,
Yes.
how important is it that before we get to checking in,
Yeah.
we've gone on a first date, second date, involved our friends
Yes.
and even our families, just so they know who it is we are talking to. So how important is involving other people in what it is that we do?
Absolutely important, critical. Critical. The minute somebody is trying to hide themselves, that's a huge red flag. We need to be able to include other people. We need to take photos. We need to take advantage of technology. Let us FaceTime. Let me see your face. Let me see who is it okay for me to record this conversation? Because if you are comfortable enough to meet me in a private space, you should be comfortable enough for me to take your picture, for example. Tell me your full names. You know, sometimes girls or women are too shy to ask direct questions. We should be able to ask questions. What is your intention with me? What do you want? Just be very, very direct, because there's no point of looking nice. And I think sometimes, especially with the younger girls, not wanting to offend other people, their self-esteem, you know, it prevents them from being confident and asking the right questions.
And Hamida, when we were having this discussion of, you mentioned something really critical, that when we allow the first incident to happen and we see no one has been taken to court, there is no conclusion in these cases, we give room to more of these to happen. So what is your message to security agencies when it comes to just handling femicide cases and At times you find that such, like someone has seen a red flag.
Yeah.
Maybe they were threatened, nitakuwa siku moja, you know, wewe hakuna kitu utaniambia. And people tend to sit on this information, or others go to report, or when you get there, unaambiwa handle those things at home.
Things.
You know, those are family things, handle them at home. So how should the security agencies be treating such cases whenever they come before their desks?
First of all, when a woman is being threatened at home and they go to report, it is important that the security agents take that up very, very seriously and follow it up and use the necessary measures to make sure that this person is safe. Yeah. And once somebody has been, accused of such a, such a behavior, then they need to be taken through the process and let us see what is happening to them, so that it can be a lesson to other people. Because, we hear all these cases, but, they die off. We don't even know what happens by the end of the day. We just put a lot of emphasis on the incidences, but not the consequences of such behaviors. Because you realize that once such an incident happens, then you start seeing other copycats. You start hearing of many other cases. Yeah, it's like maybe they're threatened, like, nitakufanya vile yule alifanyiwa. Yeah, and for women, when somebody threatens you, please leave. Please leave. You don't know. You are not a psychic. You cannot be able to know what that other person is planning.
And you see, Hamida, when you're having such cases, clearly, when we started, you said it is murder of a woman just because they are women. Therefore, let's rope in the men in this conversation. How important is it for them to step up? When you hear someone at home is being battered just because they are women, how important is it for the community to come through and help address this? Also for men to be the first buffer zones to respect women, to know when things are hot, seek help, or just walk out.
Absolutely. I think that's really good. First of all, we need to educate the masses. We need to take it, the way we used to talk about HIV and just being aggressive about educating the communities that this is not okay. It is not acceptable, and there are consequences about it. And there are other options if things are not working out in your marriage, because mostly when it comes to femicide in relationships, it's about control. It's about the ego. It's about, I'll put you down, you'll get to know who I am. I'll kill you, I'll do all these things. It's about the ego. So realizing that, as a man, and your ego, it doesn't even show how strong you are. It just tells us how weak you are as a man, because you should be able to resolve other, marital issues or relationship issues in a mature way. So educating the masses, educating the communities is very, very important. And of course, even having consequences within our own, when, for example, as a man, you see a woman being battered, you cannot just walk away. It is important for our men to step in and talk to the other men and say, it's not okay. This is not acceptable behavior. Just think, what if it was your mother? What if it was your daughter or your sister? Would you just walk away like that? They make fun, and nowadays, unfortunately, people are just taking videos of what is happening, but not intervening. So if men caution or, reprimand their fellow men, I think it's going to show the weight, and even men talking amongst, themselves. When you hear that one of your friends is battering the wife or the girlfriend, having, a kamukunji and talking to your friend about it, that is not acceptable behavior. I do not want to hang out with you when this is how you reason. So
let's just have a conversation on you as a psychologist. Probably you deal with several of these cases, and when someone has been threatened or has experienced such, like even right now, you'd find there is someone who's going through such and they don't know how to speak up. They don't know who to go to. As a professional, how do they go about it? Who do they start to talk to before it's too late?
You could talk to somebody. Of course, it is very important for such a person, such a victim, to talk to us as professionals so that they can get the right help. But at least start with somebody. If you don't know any professional, just talk to your friends, because what happens in many cases is that women are battered, or even men are battered, but they keep it as a secret. They always have a black eye, or an injury on their body, and they have a story around it that has nothing to do with what actually happened. So the more you keep that as a secret, the more you're putting yourself at risk, number one. And we always say, when somebody hits you once, walk. Because what is it about them that they cannot control their own emotions? Because the woman can as well choose to hit him, but she's choosing, it's a choice. She's choosing not to. So walk, but talk to your friends. But most importantly, come for help, because that is trauma. That is trauma. We need to work together and find out, first of all, why is it that you're continuously, remaining in this relationship, even after you've been threatened, even after your life has been put in danger. It's about me as a woman. What are the root causes of me putting myself in such situations? Because we find that some women, come from one, traumatic relationship to another. They keep choosing the bad boys, and even if we talk to them, they are not changing. So it's much deeper than what we are seeing. It's way much rooted. So working with a psychologist or a counselor can be very, very, very helpful. Ask yourself, what is my worth as a woman?
And when we have this conversation, you find that these cases are really traumatizing. Even us in the media, whenever we go through them, they're really traumatizing.
Yeah.
And we find that even when these conversations are happening, you find there are factions. There are those who are saying, alienda huko kufanya nini?
Yeah.
We turn to, the conversations turn to be blaming the victim instead of finding the problem and solving that out.
Yeah.
So even as we continue to have this discourse and try to have solutions towards it, I know today we have demonstrations in town of the same. Another one in Wasingishu County, just to try and bring sanity to this. So how do we change this conversation from blame game to us being solution makers?
Yeah. I mean, we have to realize that when somebody chooses to commit a crime, it is a choice. So we cannot, doesn't matter, because sometimes you say, oh, this woman was raped, why? It's because of the way she was dressed. No, it's not. Even if she was naked, it's the other person's choice to proceed and do whatever it is that they're doing. So we cannot continue to attack victims because of other people's choices of behavior. It's the other person who chose to do that. Yeah? Because if you're uncomfortable, then walk, go away. Nobody's forcing you to do anything. It is your ego, it is the way you perceive that person, Think of it as you're making those comments on social media and all. What if it was my mom who was attacked? Because we have homicides in the homes. It's not just the Airbnbs. We need to change that that perception of attacking, shaming victims. And that's why even some people are not able to come out when they are going through such things to talk about it, because they'll be asked, ulikuwa unafanya nini huko? Which is neither here nor there. Somebody attacked you. That is a crime against humanity.
And still on the same, we find such cases have been especially on young women.
Yes.
So clearly shows that someone is taking advantage of, say, their naivety and just taking advantage of the fact that they're still young and can't stand up for themselves. Therefore, as a psychologist, what is your message to these young women who, rightfully so, people get into relationships for their own reasons, and it's a choice. They look good, I look good, one do this thing. But now, what is your advice on who you meet, how you start, how you proceed, the first date, second date, before things progress?
Don't be in a rush. Because one thing that I'm finding on, with this generation and both sexes, it's like there are no good men. And the men are saying they're not good ladies to have relationships with. So you find that sometimes when somebody gets attention from a man, I mean, they get excited and they forget how to think, and they just think about their emotion. It is important for us to engage our brains. Because who is this person that you're meeting? This is a complete stranger. What is their intention with you? You wouldn't know. You know, once you go out on a few dates, you can be able to see how they treat you, how they treat the waiters, how they treat people around them. You know, the kind of maybe the phone calls when they're talking on a call, how they are behaving. You'll be able to gather a lot of information that can be able to help you. You'll also sometimes be able to see the red flags. Of course, we have those very manipulative, narcissistic people who are very good, very sly, very smooth. Yeah?
Smooth operators,
yes,
say.
smooth operators. They know how to cover up their tracks and, you know, make sure that tumeingia kwa box. Once you're there, that's when their true faces
they close the
come.
box.
But don't just go. How do you meet somebody in an Airbnb? First of all, it's a very private place. So first dates, please go to public places. Let your people know. Take photos. This is who I... If somebody says, don't take a picture with me, why? Why? Ask yourself questions. Love yourself. Remember that you're worth, you know, having a good life, being respected and all that. Because sometimes it's how we feel about ourselves. And when somebody shows you a little bit of attention, we lose our minds. Yeah.
Hamida Ahmed, psychologist, says that before you get to that private space, just know who it is you're with, take your time and don't rush this as we continue